Series premiere. The quiet town in Pedraza is shaken by an unsettling birth of a mysterious child. As a local vet, Elena and Mayor Paco form a tenuous alliance to investigate the incident. They begin to unravel the troubling past of their recently appointed priest, Father Vergara, and the significance of his curious coin in his possession. Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot back again with a brand new TV review, and tonight we are discussing a new series called 30 Coins, and we have episode 1 titled Cobwebs. I am so excited to let you all know what I thought about this premiere episode, let you know based on my thoughts this episode if I'll be back to watch more, but more importantly, I'm going to let you all know if it's worth checking out in this review. But before we dive into it, as you can see on the screen now, make sure you all are following me on all my other social media accounts like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, which you can find all those links in the description below. If you are new to this channel, welcome to the community. Consider subscribing, and while you're at it, hit that notification bell. That way you can get the alert from when I drop new videos. It would mean a lot to me if you all can like and share this video. It really helps out the channel, but I also appreciate all the support. And in the comments, let's discuss this new series, 30 Coins. Let me know if you were excited for the show, and once you all have seen this first episode, let's discuss it. We got to talk about the cow, the baby, the coin. Let's discuss it all in the comments below and have some great discussions down there. So just a quick little breakdown how I want to handle this first episode review. So the first half of this video, no spoilers. I'm just going to give you my general thoughts. Is it good? Is it worth checking out? And then the second half, we're going to dive deeper into the spoilers for those that have seen it. And then after this review, soon as episode 2 ends, I'm going to have my episode 2 review available on this channel. I'm going to leave that link in the description below. I'm actually going to leave it on the screen so you can click on it and check out episode 2, and we're going to break it all down. So 30 Coins, I heard about it about a month ago. I was super excited for it. I'm a big fan of horror. I love HBO in general, so they already have enough goodwill for me, especially literally 1 year ago, there was an HBO horror show that I fell in love with, and that was The Outsider. So I'm just like, you know what? I love HBO in general. I love their horror content, and here we are with something new, something fresh, something that takes place in Spain. I'm a big advocate of exploring different international movies and shows. That's something I'm really heavy on this channel. It's just bringing new content from you all across the world, and I'm so excited to break it all down. So again, first half of this video, no spoilers. Second half, I'm going to dive into the spoilers. I'll put in the screen when we get into spoiler territory, and I'm going to also give you guys time codes so you can know when to pop in and out of this video. So with that being said, let's just give you no spoilers, my initial thoughts of episode 1, which was an hour and 20 minutes, and it was titled Cobwebs. So to kick things off, we're immediately kind of thrust into this interesting situation. I don't want to get into spoilers again, but we have this gentleman who is essentially doing a bank heist, and not your average bank heist. He has something in mind. He seems to be under some type of influence. I'll just leave it at that. He gets what he needs. We meet this character that we don't really get any more of in the first episode, and from the get-go, we understand, okay, there's some supernatural possessions going on within this first couple minutes. But again, you tell me bank heist, I'm already intrigued. Like, okay, this is interesting. And the way the first couple minutes play out, you're like, what's going on? And as you kind of unfold, once he gets what he's looking for and he meets his kind of the person that has him in some type of control, you're like, okay, that's when I'm like, I'm interested in this show. Okay, it hasn't hooked me quite yet, but I'm intrigued. So moving forward, we go from a bank heist, and if this doesn't sell you on the show, then I don't know what else will. So as soon as we come off this bank heist, we're introduced to this small town, and there's these local people giving birth to a cow. Now, I won't go into spoilers until we get into that part of the video, but let's just say this cow doesn't give birth to a calf, I believe is a baby cow. It gives birth to a human child. We'll talk about it later in this video. So if that doesn't sell you already, if you're still on the fence about watching the show or not, a cow gives birth to a human child. I think it's something worth looking into. So breaking down that first kind of things that kind of get me intrigued. Once that baby came out of that cow, that's when I was hooked on this show. So let's kind of transition into some of these characters. Kind of the main 3 characters that we meet in episode 1 is Paco, Elena, and the priest. Now, priest Manuel, who we'll talk about here in a bit, those are kind of our 3 main characters. And kind of just going over these characters briefly, we have Elena. Now, she is a vet of this small town, which, by the way, this is a really small town. Paco Paco's the mayor of the town, who we'll talk about here in a bit, but it's a small town. Nothing goes on in this town. I mean, the biggest thing that goes on in this town is, cows giving birth, or the local Antonio, the kid Antonio's, maybe he's missing. It's just like basic stuff goes on in this town until this new priest comes into town. But we have Elena. From the first episode, you kind of get an idea that she seems to have a perception of the town. There's something that happens with her husband, which I won't get into spoilers till later on, but her husband is not in the picture for a particular reason, and we'll talk about that later. But she seems really nice. She's a vet, people seem to like her, except this one thing involving her husband. But I really like Elena, especially when we get towards the second in the last half of this episode. But she seems like a really cool character. I'm really intrigued to learn more about her husband and just more about her in general, because she just really kind of caught my attention. And then we go over to Paco, Mayor Paco, who wants to just make everyone happy. He is that person in town that everyone wants him to do a favor. He also runs a kind of a plant that runs the meat in town. So he has a business. He has his wife that seems to be really invested in his business. It doesn't want him to get distracted. She wants him to be, the man that she wants him to be, which is the mayor of the town and also the CEO of this plant. So she has expectations on him. And so far, Paco seems to be the most nicest guy. He almost also, too, just a side note, the actor that plays him, he kept reminding me of John Berthow. I was kind of really interested to keep seeing him. Like, he looks more and more like John Berthow as the episode went on. But nonetheless, I thought that Paco, he's almost too nice. There has to be something going on with Paco, and there seems to be something going on with his wife as well. And also, him and Elena, they team up together to try to figure out, okay, where did this baby come from? How in the hell can a cow give birth to a human child? So they team up, and again, I'm liking what I'm getting from Paco, but there's something going on with Paco. He's just almost, like I say, he's almost too nice. He's covering up some type of issues, and he's just so focused on being the mayor and having bigger plans to run for more things in his town. So I'm liking Paco, but the biggest kind of more intriguing character so far is the priest Manuel. Now, he comes from Rome, and there's reasons why he goes from Rome to this small town. Something happens in Rome, something that kind of gets him in trouble. He has to go to this small town to kind of, prove himself again in his brotherhood. So he's this new priest. He's rugged. He has some edge to him. As soon as you meet him, he's boxing. He has, like I said, he has a little bit of edge to him. He doesn't do your tradition. He's not your traditional priest by any means. So we meet him. We learn a little bit about his backstory. We learn why he left Rome. Again, I'll talk about that a little bit later, but he is really cool. He has, like I said, he's not your average priest. There's definitely some backstory, some good things that he's done in the past, some bad things he's done in the past, but I'm really liking this priest character. I'm really excited to explore more about him. So again, those are our three main characters, Paco, Elena, and the priest. And so far, all three of them have enough meat on the bone that just makes me intrigued. Again, what's going on with Elena and her husband? What's going on with Paco and his wife and him being so nice and just really willing to help anyone and doing everything? It's like he's covering something up or making up for something he did in the past. And again, this priest, as we learned in this episode, he did something in Rome that got him let go from the church, and now he's in this small town. But he's also has an enemy looking for him, especially looking for a possession of a coin that he has acquired in the past. So the first episode, as far as like kind of the mood and the tone, again, the bank heist was intriguing. The cow giving birth to a human really hooked me. As we kind of meet the scenario, as we kind of meet the characters, the first 30 minutes, so I'm like, okay, this is a decent show. It's kind of campy at points. It's a little, kind of weird vibes or like kind of comedic moments which I was doing homework on the creator behind this show, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but Alex de la Iglesia, he's kind of known for horror. He's also known for dark comedy, so you can kind of get a sense of that dark comedy within this first episode. But the episode immediately hooked me. Once Elena goes to check on this child, they don't know what to do with the child. They don't want to make the town go crazy. Like, where's this child come from? They don't want any news leaking or anything. So they give the child to this local woman, Carmen. And there's a scene where we see how the child's doing with Carmen. And once that scene happens, I'm like, oh, this is my type of show. This is the type of wacky, kind of weird, dark, twisted type of stuff I'm into. And then once we get further into the episode involving Carmen and her history with children and her husband, and things kind of happen with Carmen and the baby, and then we have let's just say a creature, and the design of the creature, which we'll talk about in the spoilers. I'm hooked. I was sold. I'm like, okay, I have to watch this series. I was already intrigued. I was really excited about the show, but this is a type of weird, dark, sadistic possession, exorcisms, monsters, creatures, coins coming out of people's arms. We'll talk about it in the spoilers, but I recommend you all give this first episode a watch without going into the reasons why until I get into it in my spoilers. It's fun. It's campy. It's a little corny. The visual effects are not all that perfect, but it is a great horror thriller thus far, especially when you meet the child, especially when we meet the monster and things get really dark. And I'm really intrigued and really interested in seeing what episode 2 looks like. I haven't seen it quite yet. So based on that, I recommend you all watch the first episode because I think it has enough meat, enough intrigue, enough weird stuff going on that I think you all will enjoy. So that's the non-spoiler part of the review. Full spoilers now, just kind of highlighting some things that kind of really shook my core. Again, spoilers. When the child came out and it was the birth, they were thinking that it was a hoax. Someone was making it up, someone switched the baby and all that stuff. But no, that cow gave birth. Essentially, we think the cow gave birth to this human child that doesn't have a name, that becomes almost 6 feet tall within this same episode. That was the moment that I was like, I am in love with the show because it is so weird. It's like X-Files almost, where we have this child who's growing at an accelerated pace and there's no reason why. We see Elena tell Paco, like, we need to get this child. There's something going on. And we know from Paco in this episode that he doesn't really want to keep going around town with Elena, especially with his wife thinking that he's maybe having an affair. And that goes back to my non-spoiler review. Like, has he done something in the past that makes his wife just so, like, kind of, she's not on his case, but she's always like, what are you up to? Why aren't you staying at work? So it'll be really interesting to explore the layers and peeling back the onion layers from that Paco character. But I really enjoy him. And I was hoping that he didn't die because it was almost like he was going to die when Carmen was beating his head against the floor and hung him up in the cobwebs. But nonetheless, when we saw that baby grow, that's when I was like, okay, I'm like extremely into the show. And that was like at the 45-minute mark. And then once we learn about this child in regards to it being controlled by the charm that Carmen makes, and once we go to the church and we see the creature in the full effect, it reminded me so much of Hellraiser, especially the score that went down when Elena was fighting that monster. And we see the priest with the holy water bullets and Carmen. I don't know if she's going to be back or not, if she's killed off in the show or not, but this show is awesome. Again, it reminded me of X-Files, kind of meets Hellraiser with a little tinge of kind of comedy mixed in with the creator here. I am in love with the show. I thought this was a great first episode. It had just enough campy nature to kind of make you kind of lighthearted, but then it has those dark elements to make you be like, okay, this show's going to get dark and twisted and really kind of violent at points. So I love the moments that we get in this episode. Again, what are we going to learn about Elena's husband? Why is he missing? Is he missing? Will he come back? The town people think that she sleeps around and has affairs, and now they think the mayor and her maybe have a thing. So I'm really intrigued to see more of Elena's story and what happened to her husband. Again, I alluded to it. Paco is almost too nice. Why is he so nice? There are nice people in the world, but he's in a position of power. He's the mayor. We know that sometimes in the political things that you got to sometimes cut some backs, stab some people in the back to get in that position. So it'll really be interesting to see more of his relationship with his wife, especially. I thought his wife was going to die in the car accident, but she's fine. At least I think she's going to be fine. So that's going to be intriguing. And then, of course, the father, the priest, he had to leave Rome because he performed an exorcism. The kid died, and they blame him. And then the coin. What's the significance of these coins? We know at the beginning of the episode, the guy stole the coin from the the bank, and he killed the host, the vessel, the body. He has one coin. Does he have to get all 30 coins? Is each episode going to be like, we have to find the coin before my enemy gets the coin? I'm so hooked into the show. Again, I only watched the first episode. I'm about to watch episode 2. And again, I'm going to give you all my review, which is going to be full spoilers for that review for episode 2. But Cobwebs, I'm in love with the show so far. It's 1 for 1, and I'm excited to see what episode 2 has to offer. So that's the spoiler half of this review. Again, if you've seen the episode, if you want to talk comments about spoilers, do me a favor, put spoilers in the comments in all caps, space it down, and let's discuss all the stuff that we got in this episode. And then in episode 2, we're going to dive straight into the episode. We're going to break right into the spoiler discussion. So Cobwebs, 2 thumbs up for me. Can't wait to go see episode 2 and give you my review for that coming pretty soon. As always, make sure to leave your thoughts on episode 1 in the comments, your thoughts, your theories, your overall, are you excited? Do you want to come back for more? Let's discuss that. As always, make sure to like, share, leave your thoughts in the comments section, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hit the bell so you don't miss any of my other content. Again, I'll be back in another hour talking episode 2 of this show, 30 Coins. Thank you all for watching this review. Hope you're staying safe, and we'll see you in the next video.